Hello, everybody. This is going to be the most wild video I've ever made. Well, potentially the subsequent ones will be even crazier, but I'm here with Caolan Robertson.
Hey.
And he's going to help me with what I can and can't say at this point in time, but we are in the Donbass.
Yeah, in the Donbass region, and this is the region that Putin and Trump have been talking about the whole time. This is kind of the major focus of all of the politics right now when it comes to Ukraine.
Right. So we're essentially as close to the front lines as we can get. And we'll try to pop in. Obviously, this is kind of just on the go. We're going to do a lot of combing through all the footage and all the interviews that we've gotten with soldiers and reviewing the different buildings that have been destroyed, and all the people we've talked to. But just quickly wanted to check in with you all and tell you more generally what we've experienced. So, I mean, as we're sitting here recording, it's quieted down now, but this whole morning it's just been one explosion around where we are after another.
Yeah, it's about every 30 seconds, and it's kind of cabs. These are massive, massive bombs, Soviet era, the way up to about a ton that get dropped from airplanes. They've been landing into buildings all around here this morning. Grads as well. These are just constant missiles, and they're hitting what sounds like, from the updates I've got this morning, everything in the city that we visited yesterday.
Wow.
We won't see where it is, but that will be all covered in smoke if we went up on a ladder right now and had a look.
Ooh, there's a big... You can feel it every time some sort of strike happens. You kind of like feel it in the floor and the base of it, which is not pleasant. The other thing that's a big topic of conversation globally is the drones, because it's kind of the first, from my understanding, full-scale war where that is being rolled out to the extent that it is. And so what's so freaky is at any moment, if you hear the little like of a drone, okay, that's just so now while I'm looking down, this cat keeps jumping on me.
That's one thing you'll notice.
It's a frontline cat.
Everywhere in the front line in Ukraine, there's pets. Every soldier has pets and kittens and puppies. It's pretty wild.
And a lot of them are like, they get left when people are evacuating.
Yeah, well, so many people have to flee at the last second, and they literally just can't afford or can't take pets with them. So there was a lot of wild pets in the wild everywhere. But the soldiers are lovely here, and they adopt them, and there's dog food in every soldier's house now. And cat food.
Wow. Yeah, I would not expect that. So anyways, just the constant fear. I feel like I pictured with war, okay, you have like person-to-person contact, and then you have these specific targets. And so if you're a civilian, the idea is, with the international laws of war, that if you're not near some military target and you're not getting into conflicts directly with people with guns, then you'll be okay. But here it's just like totally, it's seemingly very little distinction between military targets and civilians. And then also it's drones just flying around, finding people, finding cars. You were just, again, just because I don't know when we'll release this, I'll be a little bit vague about the details, but you were about to go essentially deeper in, and one of the soldiers had to tell you, no, you're not, you can't do that. That's too dangerous, because once you hit a certain part of the road heading in there, the chances they just have drones waiting that fly up and then destroy your car.
Yeah, it's a whole new thing they've started to do. It's basically like having a landmine on the side of the road with eyes and propellers, and it can watch you and it waits for you to come by, and then it just chases the car. And they can go up to about 120 kilometers an hour. So and this city that I wanted to go to this morning, I've been there a million times before, is now basically the zero line, as in that is every single thing is being hit constantly.
Yeah.
Those smokestacks are pretty close by, actually, aren't
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Wow.
They are very close.
And
that's literally the war right there. That's the Russians and Ukrainians are fighting to the death right there.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But you've arrived at a pretty interesting time. Things are changing here drastically.
Yeah.
I think also because of the Alaska talks, Putin and freezing the front line, all of this, they're trying to basically seize everywhere around us right now as fast as possible, encircle. And this city where we're in now could fall to Russia by Christmas. Even this house we're sitting in could be occupied by Russian forces if this continues.
Yeah. So for context, we're in a a house of someone in this crew to keep identities protected. And what happens is people evacuate, and then we're literally in somebody's house who evacuated, and it's just abandoned, and then a soldier lives there. And that's where we're staying. So on the drone piece, I'll probably tell this story multiple times because it was so freaky. There were 2 times yesterday when we were visiting soldiers, and we were driving into like where they were, and a drone came up above the trees and was kind of coming at us, and every single ounce of my stomach had gone through the floor. And I leaned forward in the car, and we were with a soldier, and then Caolan was there. I said, "That's a drone, right?" And Caolan's just like, yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's a drone. Let's just wait just a second. And then I just spoke to the soldier, and he basically checked on his radio frequencies whether it was Ukrainian or Russian. And I was like, maybe we could check a little quicker because the drone is coming this way. And he was like, oh, it's one of ours. It's fine.
Right. So that whole time, the time that lapsed between when we saw the drone and when he said it was Ukrainian, that is a weird feeling.
It's a feeling that everyone that lives in these towns has to experience, though. So even for that fraction of a second of just that pit at the bottom of your stomach, I saw this in Kherson as well, is like what the front line is like now.
Right.
You know, I remember you were talking about birds as well. I don't like seeing birds anymore whenever we're in places like this because you don't know what it is, you know?
Yeah, literally. I mean, think about that. I think some of this, I'm struggling to put into words kind of the feelings that I'm having here. But please, as we talk about this, we're going to talk about it in a, semi-normal, casual way. But don't detach from the gravity of it, because we're talking about still in the town that we're in, despite it being like right up against where the Russians are. Civilians are here trying to still go about life, understanding that at any moment, really think about that, the fear of that. It could just be a, catastrophic explosion of some sort, or their car could be hit by a drone or whatever. And people are just living with that. And that's what Putin intends. The reason why it's so seemingly indiscriminate often is because he intends on just demoralizing the people, which I said to you, I can't remember if we were recording this or not, but I previously didn't understand the strategy. So you obviously have the morality of it and this disgusting moral act. But even just, okay, let's say he doesn't care about my moral compass of not massacring people. What is the strategy here? Because you think just striking random buildings, like what progress are you really making? But then even just 36 hours or whatever, so far being here, you kind of start to get it, that you can demoralize people. I could not handle this for very long.
No, and the idea is to destroy the restaurants, the cafes, the arenas, theaters, anywhere that people can enjoy a second of life, is so that people are just hiding at home or hiding in basements in darkness, to destroy the water stations so there's no water, to destroy the electricity stations so there's no power. So people are hiding literally in dark rooms. Look, if we go to this city nearby, there's almost no windows left. So everyone is also, because of this, with boards. They're in pitch black all the time. And that's why I always say when the Russians come, this darkness follows. And it's just to get people to try and give up, because that's what the Russian mentality is, to get people to drop the weapons, to give up. But you spoke to soldiers specifically about this yesterday, which was pretty amazing, about what motivates them.
Yeah, so again, I really don't know what this footage will be used for right now. Maybe we'll plug in an example, but probably I'll just show you like B-roll of the conversations, but then later in future videos I'll actually show you what they're saying, because we have to translate it and protect some of their identities, so some editing involved in blurring their face and potentially distorting their voice. So that's probably later, but just to kind of give you a preview of what we'll be sharing, there's that, and soldiers literally right now getting ready. They showed us one of their training drills of like clearing out a bunker. Right now they're getting prepared, and at any moment could be fighting. And we're willing to share their motivations with us. And something I keep saying to Caolan is it's so infuriating speaking to people who all of them literally say almost the same thing. I'm fighting for my family. I'm fighting to protect my home. And if we don't stop the Russians here, where will they won't be stopped. And then to know that I'm about to go back to an American political dialogue that plays so many stupid games with those people's lives they're not doing it because of whatever the conspiracy is, because Zelensky wants war or Joe Biden was too weak or something. They're fighting because of the reality, which is that Putin has these expansionist, mass murderous intentions, and they know that they are the only option to stop that.
Yeah, and I guess what we were talking about in the car yesterday as well is in Alaska and in Washington and in the news headquarters at CNN in New York, it's always conversations completely detached, but it's always about the Donbass. It's always about an abstract of Eastern Ukraine. And no one's really asked the people that live here, that are fighting here, what they think about their own country. It's about them, but no one's asked them. So I think that's probably one of the most powerful things that you did. To be like, what do you actually want? What are you actually fighting for? But I think we're going to leave by the time this is broadcasted. We're no longer going to be in this location, but there were smokestacks all around us yesterday, and I've got footage of this that we can overlay, just to show how much things are heating up here at the moment. There was a forest that our volunteer driver, she's in the Ukrainian army, took us through, and she was like, we couldn't turn this car and turn right because there could be Russians in this forest because there's sabotage everywhere.
Made it through, and whether or not they stayed in the positions that we think they're in. But there is a huge chance, a very likely probability, that some of those people have already made their way into Ukraine, into different areas.
So I think you really got like straight into the deep end, just how messy and complicated conflict is now and war is now in a place like this, you know?
Yeah, and just, he said he'll show you, but just imagine with those smokestacks, those aren't fires. I mean, they could have started a fire, but that is, all those represent some huge strike that happened. And so to see that and know that at any point it could be the building that you're in, again, I'm talking about these civilians and soldiers and living with that, and then still having this motivation to keep going and passion to keep going, despite losing so many of their fellow people or soldiers, is really impactful. I think that's where we'll wrap this. So much more to tell you about, a ton of experience. I'm trying to write a bunch of it down. We'll do more comprehensive videos and then actually show you a lot more of the videos and interviews and experiences on the ground, but that footage will just take a little while to process. Thank you all so much for keeping up with us. Caolan, thank you for being a part of this.
No, thanks for coming here. This is amazing you've done this.
All right. I named this one Zelensky. Zelensky says goodbye.